now I want to go to something that I think is important. If you're ready to move off it.
Sure.
And I want to talk about what's going on with food security in the U.S. and how the government's role in it might be changing in a bit. So a federal program that helps poor families afford healthy food could see substantial benefit cuts starting in October. Now, this would be affecting 6 million low-income Americans, and it is at the front lines of this shut down the U.S., shut down the government battle, and funding the government. It's at the front of the line here. So we're talking about WIC. This is a program that gives financial support to low-income pregnant and nursing women, as well as children up to the age of 5. Okay?
So this stands for women, infants, and children.
There you
just
go.
To be clear.
Yes, thank you. They qualify aid based off the purchases of foods, and they get cash vouchers for fruits and vegetables, and it's integral of introducing a more diversified diet into low-income families.
Mm-hmm.
This program was heavily expanded under the coronavirus. After the coronavirus, we saw a massive expansion of the payouts to people. So we saw Congress increase the fruit and vegetable voucher to $24 per month for children and $43 for pregnant women and postpartum women and $47 for aid recipients who are breastfeeding babies. That is up from $9 and $11 before the pandemic. So we're talking like a triple, quadruple amount of the benefits that people were getting. And they also streamlined the process of signing on to WIC, making it easier. Since the coronavirus pandemic and the passage of the American Rescue Plan, we've seen the number of people signed up for WIC jump from 6.1 million to 6.7 million. And this is happening in the midst of a hot, tight labor market.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so that's what's going on the side here. And WIC has now become easier to enroll in. The benefits are better. Families are healthier. And, the issue is now they've run out of money faster than they thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and a huge target for these government shutdown talks, we've already talked about how SNAP is on the table. And
right.
Republicans are looking to cut SNAP funding. So this is another avenue for food assistance. To me, it resonates because it's reminiscent of a discussion that we also always have in the show, which is we want a more robust government aid, but they need a way to pay for it.
Yeah.
So we need to be okay with taxing more. And this is what happens when we don't do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are hit with something like the coronavirus. We are going to continue to face other shocks to the stability of American families. Climate change is the first one that comes to my mind. That are going to precipitate the need for more government aid and intervention in people's lives, specifically those on the margin, the poorest families in America. And when you have a political divide over the amount of funding that the government gives to these programs, you're constantly trying to balance between overspending, putting us more deeply in debt, and giving people the basic needs they need to live.
Right.
And so it's just this tough situation where everyone wants both, right? Everyone wants a government that helps, and they don't want taxes raised.
Right.
You can't have both. I'm sorry, and one is more important than the other.
Yeah, it's absolutely more important. It's hard now because in the House, with a Republican-controlled House, there is no shot taxes get raised under any circumstance. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I can think of Democrats can do to sustain these benefits is to pass it now and then tax later. But that's risky. Because if they don't win, then they can't tax later, and then it just gets harder and harder, and then more programs have to go in the future.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like taking a lot of opioids in the moment for your pain, but also, getting yourself addicted and destroying your life in the process, right?
Totally.
It makes you feel good in the moment, but what happens 5 years from now? And I want to be clear, I support this. I want it to get expanded, but I want it to be taxed and raised money for later.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Progressively taxed, hopefully. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
The burden can fall on the people who can afford it rather than food being taken away from people who literally can't otherwise feed their families.
Exactly. And so this is the effect if we do not keep the expanded version of WIC. It will lead to a 70% reduction in support for fruit and vegetables for pregnant women, and a 56% reduction in support for children, and will put 1.9 million people on a waiting list to get access to this program. 2 million people. That is basically almost a percentage point of the entire U.S. population. 1 out of 100 people might get affected by this. Yeah. And so that's just tragic, because this is not the thing. If we're going to be talking about dealing with government waste and government spending, I don't think the issue is pregnant women getting fruits and vegetables. I don't think that's the stuff that we should be targeting against. There are plenty of other things. There's a great bill that's on the floor now that I wish I remembered the name, that is targeting overspending to defense contractors for goods, right? There's reports that we're spending $1,500 on breast pumps for women that are actually $200 at Walmart. Explain to me how, those are the things that we go after.
Well, that reminds me of also Medicare not being able to negotiate for its drugs. That's something that we're paying too much money on, spending too much money on. And that's something that an article came out earlier this week that we should have had on our sheet.
We totally should have. That was such a big deal.
Yeah, but basically, very briefly, the U.S. is going to be able to, they've announced 10 of the first drugs that they're going to be able to negotiate for on Medicare.
This is going to save people so much money.
Yeah.
And it's a direct attack against the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry is not taking this lying down. They're going to sue, and it's going to be a hell of a fight. But this is something that the Democrats have been fighting for since 2004. I recently rewatched. So on the last couple shows, I was a nerd for reading The Economist. I was a nerd for watching Meet the Press every Sunday. Now I'm going to out myself again. I'm a nerd because I like to watch old presidential debates. So I was watching the John Kerry Bush 2004 second presidential debate, and John Kerry was pushing for Medicare negotiating drug prices. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, is it really taken 20 years?
That's so sad.
For us to just get this one little reform?
Wow.
It's taken us 20 years to get that. And there's still a chance that it could be shot down in the court.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen.
I don't either.
But there is a shot. But so this is all good things coming out of, or no, these are frightening things,
Scary things
coming out of the House. Good things that the Democrats are fighting for, and I'm happy to see it. But there are also some Republicans who I don't think are for this. There are moderate Republicans that exist that don't really want to cut WIC.
No, but it's not a politically viable position for anybody with an R next to their name to say that they don't want to cut government spending.
Yeah, and I wish that this was the thing that more people knew about the Republican and Democrat Party differences, right? Because a lot of people view the Democratic Party and they think, oh man, those are a bunch of college kids in big cities that don't care about rural America, and they, look down on people like us. They're all academics. The coastal elite, they only care about abortion and pot, and they don't care about anything else. No, right now, the biggest line divide in the House is who is getting food to pregnant families and who isn't.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the Democrat and the Republicans. And Democrats need to run on that. They need to take that divide and push that on every media screen in the country and make it very clear. This is the difference between the parties.
Yeah.
Do not get sidetracked by all the cultural issues about the transgender rights. Forget about all that. Do you want pregnant women to have fruits and vegetables in their fridge or not? If you don't, vote Republican. If you do, vote Democrat. That needs to be the line of attack.
I like it.
All right.